it's a good evening, good afternoon, or both. Professor who grew up in UK around 3-4, he will still tell you it is a good afternoon.
Yes.
Anyways, my name is Norman Tumhimbise. I am with Justice Kanyeihamba as always. We must apologize. We did not appear last Wednesday because of a few technical issues we had. And also today morning, because always when we miss coming on Wednesday, we then come Friday slightly early, okay, mid-morning. But Prof also had other interviews. But thank God we are back here, and we will definitely thank you. As far as I understand, Christmas is tomorrow, but one, we hope everything is going all right. We are keeping it Alternative Dig, streaming live on our social media pages, Digitalk TV and Alternative Uganda. I'll ask Justice Kanyeihamba to say hello to our viewers.
Hello, viewers. Merry Christmas, and I'm sure you have a Happy New Year. I intend to, in all circumstances. And as Norman has said, last week I was in Kabale, my ancestral growing time, and the Kabale is peaceful. They're a bit hungry because of the squeezing economy of today of Uganda, but most of them were happy. They are living their peasantry and the poor state in peace. And I'm sure they will have peace Christmas and Happy New Year.
Okay. As you can see, we are, Uganda would say already to remove Christmas, so we are here. Justice Kanyeihamba he's already in the mood of Christmas. Yeah, you traveled to cover this very week.
Yes.
Generally, are there any complaints towards the government you brought in power?
Oh yes.
Amongst the people you met?
Many politicians complain that not only has President Museveni overstayed in the power, but they agree with his recent statement that if his people so wish, he will retire now, not in 2026, but today. And he has said so. Recently, he met his son, Kanyeihamba Muhoozi, and his new chair minister, Norbert Mao. They discussed his retirement and his succession. Museveni took initiative himself. So it is not a secret that if all Ugandans said, we want you to retire now, President Museveni is willing to retire. And we discussed the successor. Today I met one of the very powerful leaders of the NRM, very strong supporter. And I mooted the idea that I have had that some Ugandans are pushing General Muhoozi Kainerugaba to replace his father as the president. He smiled and said, never. That is not in the plan of the NRM. Those who are saying so are wishful thinking. And I believe many seasoned NRM politicians share the same view. It is my belief that this, whom I have named seasoned NRM politician, says that we don't have on our map of political development Muhoozi to be president of Uganda ever.
What do you mean? Ever or just this time between of 2026? You mean ever?
I can tell you a few things. My wife will never be president of Uganda because she doesn't like politics.
But Muhoozi likes.
Muhoozi was advised by his very clever uncle, Salem Sare, otherwise Akandwanaho, that you are not a politician. I will teach you to be a good businessman. So if his uncle can say that, who are we Ugandans to say he has the right to be president? Of course, theoretically, everybody has the right to be president. My very good gardener here, Waswa, has the right to be president. But he doesn't hear properly. He knows nothing about politics. I will never recommend him to stand as a candidate.
But you're the same person.
For the president.
You're the same person, if I may quote your words. You said you voted Honorable Chagulanyi.
Yes.
Not because you thought he was the best and most suitable,
I
but
didn't.
you believed that the chances were high for him to have advisors.
Yes, right.
So the people you think may not qualify or be suitable, what about in the event that they have advisors? Wouldn't they qualify then?
They don't.
Again.
Museveni has said, I am Tibuhaburwa. So that's why I say he should retire now. He doesn't like advisors. But the cabinet ministers, permanent secretaries, foreign affairs, ambassadors are supposed to advise him. And we are paying them to advise him. But he says, I don't want advice. I am Tibuhaburwa. Therefore, that's why I am campaigning now logically that he should retire. You see, I am consistent always.
Okay. Now a quick one also, because you see, being our senior here, after you had traveled this week to the village, where you spent some time, and one of my second also questions was, did they complain about the leadership? How did you find them?
They are complaining every day. Even Museveni's greatest supporter in Kabale, a formidable lady politician, is complaining. And she said she has nothing to eat at Christmas. I gave her some few potatoes and peas.
And the talk in town
And she
is
was
that
grateful.
the talk is that Westerners, all of you who hail from Western Uganda, have no reason to complain that you are in Chintu, you are in things. That's what people say here. So maybe our viewers who don't hail from that side should get a clear picture from you after.
Well, I'm lucky
after your visit.
That my
That even
doctors,
Westerners can be broke.
my doctors are some of the best that have ever treated anybody, and they include 3CD Westerners. Those are Hakana Rugunda, Dr. Bashasha Elede, and Dr. Mbonye Ben. They are wonderful. But I am maintained by non-Ugandan doctors, non-Western Ugandans, including people like Dr. Ruzije, who's in Muganda, Dr. Henry Dungu in Muganda, wonderful nurses like senior nurse Rosemary, nurse Norman, so the Agure, nurse Odong, to mention but a few. So it is not true. The other day I went to the police to give a statement about the grabbing of my land by one Bazira, which showed that the police are terribly corrupt, including the seniors, the more. They have not done anything so far. Although they asked me to give a copy of my title, a statement from the LC chairman and the court committee, which controls local affairs. I gave them.
So literally, the injustices by this regime are not partial. They are not just in Kampala.
They are
also,
not.
I mean, they are also in other regions, even in the Western Uganda.
I want you to remember the case. Two cases. Kanyeihamba and the 300 others against Nzeyi and Mama Mbabazi. The respondents had added Ndugu Hakana, who was not involved in their shoddy deals, for us to sue him, so that they are a big, powerful team. When we said research has shown that Hakana Rugunda did not participate in this shoddy deal, we dropped him. Mbabazi and Nzeyi returned him as an appellant, contrary to his wish, and that was.
So injustices are affecting.
So the idea
everyone.
of justice in Uganda is not justice, but who you are.
Taking control.
Yes, this I won't mention many things, but when the Council of Matching the Division unanimously decided that they should name this road Kanyeihamba Road, I was congratulated by the IGP, by the Inspector General of Government.
IGG.
IGP is the...
IGG.
No.
You're congested by
I
IGP.
first said deliberately, I never make mistake.
IGP.
By IGP, which is the General Police. And then by General of Government. I didn't make a mistake. Then the IGG got sick, but she was coming to look and take a photograph of the Chipande here. Then other thugs who don't like Kanyeihamba on the road came at night and removed the they put there another one. They defaced it. But matching the division leaders are not so stupid. They devised a way where that sign will not be removed again.
Now,
so what am I saying? I am saying that me as an individual, I am liked by those who are non-corrupt, want the truth and justice. I am hated equally
by
by those
wrongdoers
who are wrongdoers and never want to see a sign on my road saying Kanyeihamba Road.
When we want to take you back to, I am not as old, definitely, and I'm not as experienced.
I'm certainly older than you.
Yeah, very, very true. We used to learn about Kabale's problems those days.
Yes.
And one of the leading problems at the time was overpopulation.
Yes.
Which had subsequently led into land fragmentation and the rest. But even when there is land fragmentation, why aren't there land conflicts in your region than they are around here?
You have already said it. We are overcrowded.
But they have no.
When you take thirsty cows to a small bull, they'll fight. It's a natural phenomenon of survival. But they no longer fight as they used to. Land wrangles are still there, as they seem to be everywhere. But the Kabale authorities, with advice from people like Dr. Hakana Rugunda, the Minister of Finance, State, Henry Musasi, there are very few complaints going on now. There is a lot of litigation going on, certainly reconciliations, and they are not as fierce as they are when I was a student, a pupil in Kabale University, Kabale School, high school, and people used to kill each other on the land. Those have reduced today.
What comment would you have? Could it be because of the land tenure system that you have there that is different from what is around, what is here? Because
we have land tenure.
And what is
the most
popular there?
The most important ones are freehold, The other one is Maryland,
No leave.
beloved in Buganda. Then there is customary land tenure and leasehold. Leasehold is the only one available to foreigners, non-citizens. But the way we are governed, many non-foreigners claim to own Maryland, freehold. They manage to develop agricultural zoned parcels of land into residential houses. They are there, they have taken my land illegally that way. But I called the minister, Mayanja. He's a doctor, by the way. And he came here. And he promised many journalists and lawyers, we are going there to demolish that building. I'm going to give you what he stated here, where we are sitting. Then when they corrupted him, he has never appeared again. He owes those who came here 6 million in because he promised to facilitate them going to Dewe. He has not paid, he never turned up, he's never called me, he never answered his, even he didn't answer his personal assistant, Nirundi, Yanga, Uganda really, at this Christmas period, we are in a state of unbelievable. Yesterday I was reading the newspaper, and the IGG, in the name of Betty Kamya, said proudly she had recovered over 14 billion shillings from government officials who were thieves. She never named one.
She just said,
she said, I have recovered billions, which was stolen. But not a single person is named as the culprit.
Maybe
and that's why, no, President Museveni directed her not to name thieves and robbers. He said, if you name them, they will run away from the country
and invest outside
and save that and serve or spend that money
abroad
in foreign countries.
So to them,
no, I want these thieves to be comfortable, stay here, they are welcome, so long as they spend their loot in Uganda.
Okay, I before we go on to Article 108, I wanted to find out from you on whether you watched the president's address, when was it? This very week, where he was briefing the country about the security status and the rest. And one of the things that caught people's eyes or attention, they definitely paraded some, they broadcasted some video clips of young people who are alleged to be ADF recruits. And people were wondering, maybe in your experienced lenses, to maybe give a hint about because I know you watch news and you read newspapers. The security status is worrying. And what is worrying most is that young people are the ones that execute such violence.
I agree with you entirely. And the comment that actually violence and authoritarianism with brutality are encouraged by the NRM leadership, including the president. I have already given you an incident where he said, don't name culprits because they run away to spend that money in other countries. Is that really a statement worthy of a president of a country which is independent? That's one. Number two, I have mentioned this elsewhere, that when I complained to my friend, the much lamented and the late Eli Tumwine, who was Minister of Security, he turned around and said, Professor Kanyeihamba, our people are being killed with guns, and you are complaining about citizens we beat with the Chiboko.
Yeah. Just
Beating
Chiboko.
Chiboko is prohibited by the constitution. It
Yeah.
is illegal. But here is a minister, a full minister of cabinet, saying,
Allow us, let us
since
beat
they
them.
kill us, let us beat them to death.
And let alone he considered now he was supportive of that they will be shot at in the
That's
event
right.
that they
Yes,
later
I
allow.
agree.
So in your view, part of the violence is as a result of authoritarianism by the
Yes,
regime.
definitely. The vegetarian is very sectarian. Let's bring it near home. When Chiza Besije, who is from Rukunjiri, complained about misgovernance, he was jailed and refused to remove from the army for a time while the torturing physically and the mental was going on. Then came the late Eli Tumwine. He was the Minister of Security. He complained, and Tumukunde, also hailing from Kunjiri, was at one time
Presidential
arrested, refused to remove it from the army. He even hired my services to help him move from the army. His file is still here. And then later he was made a minister,
and
he became the
general also. They promoted
and
him.
the general, and he became the leader of the torturers. Can you believe that?
Whom we had wanted to leave.
Yes. But when Mhozi, the nephew of my good friend Ken Rugaba, did the same and threatened even to attack Kenya. And they defeated in 2 weeks our beloved ally. Not only did the president be forced to apologize on his behalf, on behalf of Moses, but to show sectarianism, he promoted him to general as a result. What do you think about that? It is not worth thinking about. It is you favor some,
And
you
to
punish others, others you torture. Like many of our MPs have been tortured because they don't support NRM.
Our viewers, we are with Justice Kanyeihamba, and we are trying to, of course, share here and there. And before we could dive into the Constitution, as always, we wanted to have some recap of some of the sequence of events that have transpired in this country. And allow me, with Justice Kanyeihamba, to now tackle Article 108A, which establishes the Prime Minister's office.
I want to confess ignorance of that section.
Yeah, Article 108A.
Yes. If we look at our original approved constitution, the office of the Prime Minister is not there. So it was not debated or approved by the Constituent Assembly. It was smuggled in by the NRM.
Sure.
Yes. We didn't debate it. But they brought a draft, I believe, drafted by one of the ministers. If not the Prime Minister himself, the late Apollo Simbambi.
Okay.
And they put their powers, functions, and duties we never even thought of in the CA. I think I have never read it. I've heard that the chapter on the Prime Minister is one of the longest in the Constitution.
It is here. It's here. It's very long, and it goes up to. No, it's long. It's long. Yeah, it comes. There is definitely even also goes ahead and to give power as the prime minister in the event that the president is not in position to execute the duties. Now, so you want to confess to us?
I am confessing
that
now.
You people,
we never
draft
made any comment
about the prime minister
suggestion about the office of prime minister. In our original constitution, which was promulgated in 1995, there is no word called prime minister.
It means you people, you are dealing with the fraudsters, because one would ask, I have two questions for you. What was the leadership structure minus? So after the vice president, what was
we had the president
as
can nominate any ministers. Prime minister is a minister.
Not to
we left it under that
not
one.
Prime to not
yeah,
to
not
be
the prime, no. No.
Okay.
We had the previous had a prime minister in this government. And they had caused us a lot of problems. The late Obote had been the prime minister. He caused us trouble by wanting the president himself. We had the Adebo.
Cosmas.
Yes, he
Cosmas
was not all that competent.
You had the Alimadi.
We had Alimadi. He was a part of the
UPC.
Obote and the UPC machinery which ruined this country. And so I can tell you, CA people were very wary and very careful about creating the office of prime minister. We never created one.
Because it's a power center. It was more or less a power center, because you don't find, by the way, I think, save for Paulo Mwanga,
yes,
I think there hasn't been vice presidents that have caused trouble.
No.
So because,
and by the way, I am the one who coined vice president.
That one you said
when we were at Moshi. People, they realize in Kenya it is a deputy.
Now we are
deputy, but these people have got powers.
Yeah.
So they are really deputies.
Yeah.
They deputize for the president. That's why you see,
decisions
unfortunately, ours has been rendered useless. So, Chiseka, who was a very good minister, never did any performing duties under Museveni, because Museveni would not allow him. Which other?
What about Speciosa?
But he did some.
Your friend Speciosa Kazibu. Didn't she do? Because to share a light moment with you,
Kazibu,
one of her videos.
Kazibu was a doctor, good doctor.
Yeah, one of her videos.
He was a good doctor.
But not a good
but she had other ideas.
Because she said that she fired one of the ministers. She fired the cabinet minister. It was it is one of her interviews. She said people who say that vice presidents in Uganda are toothless.
She's still alive.
She is.
She's still alive and still beautiful. Or I should say attractive.
About the beauty.
But what I wanted to ask you.
She said she fired the minister.
Ask her. Did you sack that minister without the authority of the president?
She said,
I think she will tell you
that the president had traveled, and this minister who hails from eastern Uganda, whom she declined to mention the name, misbehaved, and within her
powers... Can I tell you, I will not mention the names. When I was cabinet minister, another minister whom I will not name had ascensions on some other colleague of hers. They traveled together to China. And he said, come and stay with me in my room. This was the permanent secretary. Are you listening?
Yeah, I am.
And the personal secretary, trembling, very frightened of the ministers staying on top of her. He said, no, I can't do it, I'm a Morocco. When he came back, he advised the president to sack her. She's incompetent. I think you know where she was incompetent.
Definitely.
Yes.
The incompetence was about her refusal to join the other minister in
the bed. Yes.
Upon return, her senior suggested that this should...
No, it was the same minister.
Yeah.
The same minister whom she refused to sleep with
that Mr. President
said this minister is incompetent, which is literally true. Many other Ugandans would have jumped at the suggestion.
Definitely.
Or shall I say the invitation. But this particular minister was very honest and faithful to his wife.
Competent.
So he said when she came back, she said, sack this minister. He's incompetent. And she was meaning incompetent literally.
Yeah. Now, another harsh, it might sound harsh. Let me ask, when this constitution, when you passed your draft, the original draft, for instance, this prime minister was smuggled in.
Yes.
After the president's reading through and the rest, did you ever bother to see and compare what had been passed and approved at Parliament with what you had drafted?
And that's the time we approved the constitution. The office of the prime minister was not there. It came after we had approved the constitution. It was not there. Just as personally, I confess, I smuggled in the provision about the prerogative of mercy. Yeah. Only me and the Kafuma discussed it. But we said on the advice of the Attorney General and his committee. So it was safe, although nobody else debated it. Museveni has been using it to one of the sources of his power to do all sorts of havoc to this country.
So if I may ask, you said your draft did not have this particular
Prime Minister didn't have
there, and you said he would nominate the ministers. So who would preside over such ministers if this position wasn't put there?
No, supposing he said the Prime Minister of Britain, or rather of UK, that I am nominated Kanyeihamba to be Prime Minister. You can't do anything unless your colleagues in the cabinet agree. So your colleague will consent with what we are proposing and approved by the president. No problem. There wouldn't have been any problem, no gap. Because president himself, oh, by the way, I want to remember that man who called me that I am the worst person ever lived. I combine both Ebola, Corona, and HIV. Yes. And I have not, God thanks, I have never served under any. But having said that, I wish him a happy Christmas. I hope he will read this constitution.
He's Namuguzi.
Yeah, but why hasn't he apologized to me?
He's watching. We shall find out as we move along.
Thank you.
Now, another one now. We want to dig deeper into this office. And this is how it reads. There shall be a prime minister who shall be appointed by the president with approval of parliament by simple majority from among members of parliament. What confuses me and others is here. Or persons qualified to be elected as members of parliament. What did you mean? If literally it doesn't make sense to me.
You are asking me as a stranger like you.
Yeah.
But let me comment. My legal knowledge is this: that we have in our constitution that the ministers, which now includes the prime minister we never named, that they can be nominated to be ministers or prime ministers if they are members of parliament or qualified to be members of parliament. That is correct. So you can be a member of parliament or be a Ugandan who, if you stood for parliament, you would be electable. And I think that was put there again to allow the minister the greatest latitude in nominating ministers and the prime minister, to the extent that his appointment is now regarded as a personal. Unless he likes you, you can never be a minister. Unless you serve and obey him royally, unquestionably, you can never be prime minister. And
once he likes you, there is no way parliament can fail to approve
I entirely agree. Because he will say, I was thinking of making you a minister of land. Now you are against it. Say, Mr. President, I approve.
Okay. But still, I think for me here, not to despise your work, you people, but when you say that the parliament, with approval by simple majority from among members of parliament, or persons qualified to be elected as members of parliament, it does not bring out that very picture to mean that this communicates qualifications of the prime minister. Maybe I read it to you again. You internalize it.
No, I have understood it. What we have left out, our constitution said there cannot be any appointment whatsoever,
Without approval.
whether
of parliament.
minister, chief justice, without
Approval.
the
Parliament.
recommendation, no, of
Recommendation.
various committees. Now, where I'm objecting to, for example, the president has appointed a mere judge of
Without
of the Court of Appeal to be chairman of the Judicial Service Commission. How do you appoint a junior man
Supervise the seniors.
to preside, to recommend you whether a justice of the Supreme Court should become Chief Justice, or a judge of a higher court called a High Court, a Constitutional Court, becomes a Deputy Chief Justice? It is a contradiction in terms. You cannot have power to comment on your bosses.
Definitely.
Just ridiculous. Reminds me of Museveni. He went to this village in West Nile, found unemployed youth who had to finish school, and they said, the man said, General, I don't have any employment. And the general said, you go to the parliament, rather to the permanent secretary, the Ministry of Labor, and they give you a job.
Yeah.
Then when Museveni returned to Kampala, he found the boy still on the street. He said, why? Are you still here? I said they should give me a job. And he said, the permanent secretary said I'm not qualified. Do you know what he did? He appointed the boy permanent secretary. And the permanent secretary was sacked.
The permanent secretary who said the boy wasn't qualified,
Yes.
was sacked and replaced by the
By that
disqualified.
boy whom said they had not qualified.
It takes us back to your book, The Unexpected. In the Pearl of Africa, the unexpected happens. In our 5 minutes to, 3 minutes to our break, I want you to internalize this and also explain to our viewers. It is paragraph 3. The Prime Minister shall, in performance of his or her duty functions, be individually accountable to the President and collectively responsible for any decisions made by the Cabinet. What do you mean? Because to a layman, it's as if it's only the President that the Prime Minister should account to, not Parliament, not anyone. Is it what you meant?
I think you can interpret it that way. But they were also saying, because he's a minister, Prime Minister, he's also a collectively and individually responsible to Parliament. They mean both. They mean both, but in the main,
President.
This is the President.
He or she is more answerable to the President. The rest can follow.
I agree. We have recently this guy who refused to obey Parliament. And he said, I'm waiting for the word of the President.
By the ministers have also used that as.
I think are we going inside?
Let's break for a minute.
Yeah.
Or a minute and we'll come back shortly.
Yes. We'll go inside because it is raining. Okay? Can you manage to?
The Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.
people, you're welcome to the Snap Talk with your girl Teddy Tenjo every Saturday right from 6 to 7.
Naku zino twajjirwa flat tami. Tukyayambalako ku ngoye obutukwata.
Wajana ku body shaming. Speak up. Gendo ba confronting. Obagambe ekyo kyemukola si kirungi.
Towerabira nti tuli wano ku the alternative dig talk. Mukwano gwange gwaliye. Topic kiki wandiyagadde twogereko. Is it about family?
Nga nze tata wange amanyira nkola n'obuvunaanyizibwa nnyina bungi. Era agezaako n'anyamba yambako yanda.
Naye kumukubira kumubuuzaako. Noga mama we bali kunzaala.
Is it outside family? Is it society? Oh, could it be relationships?
Come and visit, call me. Simanyanga I miss you bichi. Especially embeera y'obudde si nnungi.
Naye n'omuntu akwagalira mu season aba takwagala nze nkubuulira.
Just be commenting nga topic yona gyandiyagadde twogereko tujja kwa tujogera kwano ku the alternative dig talk ku share enganzi the Snap Talk.
Fellow citizens, following the sequence of events, Uganda seems to be at political crossroads.
I'm not a servant of anybody.
Madam, I know the law.
As such, Alternative Digital brings you the Interface Show with retired Colonel Dr. Kiza Besuje.
Let's keep on the same page on Alternative Digital.
As he gives you the alternatives on the transition question, rule of law, human rights and freedom, youth inclusion in governance, economic stagnation, as he confirms.
I'll be always here Saturday from 10 a.m. in the morning. Be there.
Don't miss the live discussion on the Alternative Uganda, Digital TV Facebook pages, and the Alternative Uganda YouTube channel.
Hello beautiful people, you're welcome to the Snap Talk with your girl Teddy Tenjo every Saturday right from 6 to 7.
Naku zino twajjirwa flat tami. Tukyayambalako ku ngoye obutukwata.
Wajana ku body shaming. Speak up. Gendo ba confronting. Obagambe ekyo kyemukola si kirungi.
Towerabira nti tuli wano ku the alternative dig talk. Mukwano gwange gwaliye. Topic kiki wandiyagadde twogereko. Is it about family?
Nga nze tata wange amanyira nkola n'obuvunaanyizibwa nnyina bungi. Era agezaako n'anyamba yambako yanda.
Naye kumukubira kumubuuzaako. Noga mama we bali kunzaala.
Is it outside family? Is it society? Oh, could it be relationships?
Come and visit, call me. Simanyanga I miss you bichi. Especially embeera y'obudde si nnungi.
Naye n'omuntu akwagalira mu season aba takwagala nze nkubuulira.
Just be commenting nga topic yona gyandiyagadde twogereko tujja kwa tujogera kwano ku the alternative dig talk ku share enganzi the Snap Talk.
Fellow citizens, following the sequence of events, Uganda seems to be at political crossroads.
I'm not a servant of anybody.
Madam, I know the law.
As such, Alternative Digital brings you the Interface Show with retired Colonel Dr. Kiza Besuje.
Let's keep on the same page on Alternative Digital.
As he gives you the alternatives on the transition question, rule of law, human rights and freedom, youth inclusion in governance, economic stagnation, as he confirms.
I'll be always here Saturday from 10 a.m. in the morning. Be there.
Don't miss the live discussion on the Alternative Uganda, Digital TV Facebook pages, and the Alternative Uganda YouTube channel.
The Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.
beautiful people, you're welcome to the Snap Talk with your girl Teddy Tenjo every Saturday right from 6 to 7.
Naku zino twajjirwa flat tummy. Tukyayambalako ku ngoye obutukwata.
Wajana ku body shaming. Speak up. Gendo ba confronting. Obagambe ekyo kyemukola si kirungi.
Towerabira nti tuli wano ku the alternative dig talk. Mukwano gwange gwaliye. Topic kiri wandyagadde twogereko. Is it about family?
Nga nze tata wange amanyera nkola n'obuvunanyizibwa nyina bungi. Era agezaako n'anyamba yambako yanda.
Naye kumukubira kumubuuzaako. Noga mama we bali kunzaala.
Is it outside family? Is it society? Oh, could it be relationships?
Come and visit, call me. Simanyanga I miss you bichi. Especially embeera y'obudde si nnungi.
Naye n'omuntu akwagalira mu season yaba takwagala ze nkubuulira.
Just be commenting nga topic yona gyandyagadde twogereko tujja kuba tujogera ku the alternative dig talk ku share enganzi the Snap Talk. Beautiful people, you're welcome to the Snap Talk with your girl Teddy Tenjo every Saturday right from 6 to 7.
Naku zino twajjirwa flat tummy. Tukyayambalako ku ngoye obutukwata.
Wajana ku body shaming. Speak up. Gendo ba confronting. Obagambe ekyo kyemukola si kirungi.
Towerabira nti tuli wano ku the alternative dig talk. Mukwano gwange gwaliye. Topic kiri wandyagadde twogereko. Is it about family?
Nga nze tata wange amanyera nkola n'obuvunanyizibwa nyina bungi. Era agezaako n'anyamba yambako yanda.
Naye kumukubira kumubuuzaako. Noga mama we bali kunzaala.
Is it outside family? Is it society? Oh, could it be relationships?
Come and visit, call me. Simanyanga I miss you bichi. Especially embeera y'obudde si nnungi.
Naye n'omuntu akwagalira mu season yaba takwagala ze nkubuulira.
Just be commenting nga topic yona gyandyagadde twogereko tujja kuba tujogera ku the alternative dig talk ku share enganzi the Snap Talk.
Card. Patients, we are back, and that we have changed the environment because we are at the balcony, and as always you cannot fight nature, so the rain interfered with our outside broadcast. Now we are in it though. Nonetheless, thanks for your patience. With me,
normally you have given me a card.
Yes, sir.
For my good old friend. We were together in making the Constitution of Uganda. You should ask him about what he thinks about the big office of the Prime Minister. However, I am delighted that you came with the card he has sent me for Christmas. And maybe you can read the message he has sent me.
I'm going to read it, and with a disclaimer, this card is from a doctor, so now you know, in the event that I cannot read these words very well. It's from the doctor. It's from Dr. Chizabesije, and he says, it's a card from Dr. Chizabesije to Justice Kanyeihamba. Thank you for the great and long service to the country and the world at large. Your contribution in law, politics, and socio-economic development will remain. Now you see, will remain. Which one? Now, how will you help me with this?
I see one of your colleagues.
Will remain. I don't know whether it is aged. I think it looks like ETCHED. Will remain aged in the. What? People, this card is from a doctor.
You younger people come and help this aging man.
I don't know whom I can invite to go to
Let me see.
Maybe you read yourself because he's a doctor.
We remain what?
Well, this is from, we remain what? Here. What does it?
We remain.
You see?
We remain, I think is touched in the heart. In the hearts of our country, be blessed always. We pray for your good health. Yours, Chiza Besiji. That's what.
Yes, our viewers. This is a postcard. This is a for Christmas card for Justice Kanyeihamba. From Dr.
I will value it.
Chiza Besije. And yeah, that is from your.
I've been told that General, the other General.
Which one?
Aunt.
General Mugisha
Muntu is up country campaigning for the organization and the structure of Ant Poti. I don't know what he's doing there. I don't know where he is. But as far as the world is knows, and today, the only principled, still standing politician in Uganda is none other than Chiza Besije. I want to say that. Others have disgraced themselves for that. Others are frightened. You know, the other day, I challenged the leader of the so-called opposition, who actually is trying very hard to become a chairman like Mao in the NRM party. I gave him a writing, and I want to repeat it again. That writing said, Mr. Leader of the opposition, he belongs to allegedly to Nupe, but he is at loggerheads with the leader of Nupe, Chagulanyi, who accuses him of trying to grab his office. How can you fight for office as leader of the opposition when you have none to offer? Anyway, be that as it may, I talked to him personally, and he is not serious. I gave him a motion. I used to be a member of the legislature, so I know how motions read. I told him that paragraph A of clause 9 of section 59 of the Presidential Elections Act is unconstitutional, is illegal, and offends the provisions of Article 2104. I thought he would be a politician and a brave and move that motion in the parliament.
Even if it wasn't passed, but so as long as he had moved it, he would have played his role.
Only. He doesn't even have to say anymore. But I told him that that paragraph A was obtained by fraud. It is not in conformity, actually it breaks the constitution. And it led government to pay a bribe of 5 million each member of parliament. And when people like Kategaya Amanya Mushega, Didandisadi, and the Matembe refused to be bribed or pass that law, they were sacked from cabinet. Mpuga, why don't you answer me now? What do you say about that? You are a coward. So that's why I'm saying leave that office of so-called leader of the opposition for another worthy member of the opposition. Thank you.
Okay, viewers, we are with Justice Kanyeihamba trying to dig deeper into this constitution, and we definitely cannot any word. So as long as he puts his word, and being the most senior and the framer of this constitution, we want to briefly, in just a second, 1 second, and then we'll be back in just in 1 second.
Please.
Yes. Beautiful people, you're welcome to the Snap Talk with your girl Teddy Tenjo every Saturday right from 6 to 7.
Naku zino twajirwa flat tami. Tukyayambalako ku ngoye obutukwata.
Wajana ku body shaming. Speak up. Gendo ba confronting. Obagambe ekyo kyemukola si kirungi.
Towerabira nti tuli wano ku the alternative dig talk. Mukwano gwange gwali topic kiri wandyagadde twogereko. Is it about family?
Ngati tata wange amanyira nkola n'obuvunanyizibwa nyina bungi. Era agezaako n'anyamba yambako yanda.
Naye kumukubira kumubuuzaako. Noga mama we bali kunzaala.
Is it outside family? Is it society? Oh, could it be relationships?
Come and visit me. Simanyanga I miss you bichi. Especially embeera y'obudde si nnungi.
Naye n'omuntu akwagalira mu season yaba takwagala ze nkubuulira.
Just be commenting nga topic yonna gyandyagadde twogereko tujjako tujogera ku the alternative dig talk ku share enganzi the Snap Talk.
Fellow citizens, following the sequence of events, Uganda seems to be at political crossroads.
I'm not a servant of anybody.
Madam, I know the law.
As such, Alternative Digital brings you the Interface Show with retired Colonel Dr. Kiza Besuje.
Let's keep on the same page on Alternative Digital,
as he gives you the alternatives on the transition question, rule of law, human rights and freedom, youth inclusion in governance, economic stagnation, as he confirms.
I'll be always here Saturday from 10 a.m. in the morning. Be there.
Don't miss the live discussion on the Alternative Uganda, Digitalk TV Facebook pages, and the Alternative Uganda YouTube channel.
Our viewers, sorry for that minute that we had to break, but we are back nonetheless. I don't know, there is some, your friend, for lack of another word, remember the other person who said you're more worse than a combination of 3 diseases?
Yes, 3 diseases.
Okay, this is what
killer diseases.
I told you he was listening to you. So after hearing from you straight away, as you Baganda call it kolokota. You are kolokotaring his
Yes.
of opposition.
Yes.
He had this. He's called Namuguzi Ntale Lud something. He says, Norman Tumuhimbise, Mzee Kanyeihamba is a regime apologist trying to cause an necessary rift between Right Honorable Mathias Mpuga and the Nupu principle. It is only Museveni's friends that rips from the disunity of opposition.
But does that make me worse than Corona, Ebola, and Corona, rather the other one?
HIV.
Miss, why doesn't he talk to me? My friend, does that make me worse than Museveni, who is using other people for his own benefit, not me?
You're his apologist.
Is he giving me apology?
No, he says people who that Museveni's friends like you are the ones who
I am not.
that are the ones who rip from the disunity.
Excuse me, would I be his friend and I call for his resignation now? Would I be his friend if I said you can't demolish your son and also said he's a general now? Is that a friend of Museveni who is criticizing everything he says? Come on, brother.
Yeah,
be honest. Why don't you apologize to me and we forget everything? You need everybody who has called me says you need to give me an apology. Why don't you listen to other Ugandans and give me an apology? Okay. Mpuga is fighting with your leader, assuming you are Nupe. Chagwani. Am I the one who forces him to fight? Why don't you criticize either Chagwani or your man, Mpuga? Nobody can believe you, my friend, unless you apologize.
Namuguzi, you have had, you know, when first of all, we thank you for watching. That means you also follow Justice Kanyehamba's words. The other time you were applauding him, here he was applauding you for great works you have done for this country.
Yes.
But he definitely does not hide his however side of you. So you have...
It's a man?
Yeah, it's a man. Yeah, he's a man.
Is he in a relationship with Mpuga?
When he's a man.
Because what I am saying is what Mpuga has failed to do. Should I thank him? Mpuga, thank you for being a coward and moving this motion I told you, which is against the Uganda constitution, the interest of your party, and is against Article 104 of the constitution. I am only speaking the facts, for which he is cursing me. Come on.
Let's dive into,
you are not serious.
Let's dive into Article 109.
Yes.
And this talks about the absence of the president.
Yes.
Clause 1. If the president dies, resigns, or is removed from office under this constitution, the vice president shall assume the office of the president until fresh elections are held and the elected president assumes office in accordance with Article 103, Sub-Article 8.
In accordance with what?
With Article 103, Sub-Article 8 of this constitution. The confusion here, which when we were off record, I asked you and we asked you that you should substantiate on what you meant and how people can interpret it. Clause 2 here, elections for president under this article shall be held within elections shall be held within 6 months after the death, resignation, or removal of the president. What is very outstanding here for us that needs your clarification is clause 5, that where the president and the vice president are both unable to perform the functions of the office of president, the speaker performs those functions.
That's right.
Now the question is, when the speaker is performing the assignments of the president, does that mean that in that period of 6 months, Parliament has one speaker, deputy speaker now becomes the speaker, or they also elect an emergency speaker of Parliament?
Which is very logical. when the speaker, in the absence of the, in the incapacities of the president and vice president,
yeah.
speaker is now acting as the president. The deputy speaker will be acting as speaker. It's just natural, so on. While the president is fulfilling the role of acting president, his or her deputy will be acting as speaker of parliament. No problem.
Let me take you to 3, sorry, which I skipped. I think there are 2 that we skipped, and which need, these 2 need your clarity. The vice president takes office of the president, and for 6 months as they prepare an election. And the viewers' concern was that in the event that this vice president has become president, but this very person has interest in running for an election, does he now run as an incumbent? Does he also first appoint the vice president and also resigns? How is that?
No, he's an incumbent acting president. And he has no role in the election of himself or other candidates as president, because it is, that system is controlled by the Electoral Commission of Uganda and the chairmanship of the chairman of the commission. So there is no conflict
at all.
No conflict at all. Where it is a conflict which Museveni has created is when you act alone as in Mr. Tibuhaburwa, no advice. That is unconstitutional and has a problem. And it is being done by President Museveni and the people like Mpuga and the one who called me worse than 8 are still in charge.
He has a new message for you here. He has a new message for you here. I'm going to read it. A new comment for you.
Yes.
I'm going to read it.
Yes. Okay. Okay.
It seems like this show is now between you and Mr. Namuguzi. He has sent another one. I would want you to first substantiate on clause 3 of Article 109, which says no elections shall be held under this article if the residual term of the president is 1 year or less. Break it to the common mind.
If there is 1 year to go,
let's say 2025,
then he served the whole year. Because yes, the country is not going to go at a lot expense in 6 months only. So we are saying the vice president will serve as the president until the elections are actually properly due.
So the other clause serves when it is beyond
more than 1 year. That's right.
Okay, your friend comes back and says, while addressing the members of the Fourth Estate on 15th December 2022, the leader of opposition highlighted on this year's accomplishments, but also mentioned that the opposition's key priorities next year is to good. That our key priority, our key priority, it's long. Let me reread it.
Yeah.
He says, while addressing the members of the Fourth Estate on 15th December 2022, the leader of opposition highlighted on this year's accomplishments, but also mentioned that the opposition's key priority next year is to introduce electoral and constitutional reforms with citizens' input. Currently, the opposition leadership at Parliament, consulting with other parties to get consensus on the issues that will inform this push for meaningful political and electoral reforms. Our key priority for 2023 is a bill to introduce electoral and constitutional reforms that have in the past been tabled as an afterthought. Let the professor be rest assured that his worries about reforms are in the pipeline. Lastly, tell the professor that Mpuga's tenure is simply 2.5 years unless Chagulanyi reappoints him. Therefore, he should not lose sleep over that. I am tuned in. Thank you. Say hello to Professor.
One thing I can tell him, I am not losing any sleep whatsoever. I am enjoying all this. And I will give him an example. Supposing a man came to your home and is raping your wife, would you put in the program for next year to remove him from the top of your wife? Come on, be sensible. You act quickly. Our MPs are being tortured. Sewanyana, the lady from Mukono, and you are waiting to put it in the program next year. You come on, shut up. You are not serious.
Now, Muguzi, you have heard we are continuing with this discussion.
One of these days, if I was young, I would go and propose to his wife for a liaison. A liaison means to sleep together. And I see whether, what is his name?
He's Namuguzi.
Namuguzi would say, next year, I will propose to remove Kanyeihamba from the top of my wife. Come on, be serious.
Namuguzi, you have heard, if this gentleman had him, like people say, if he was as young, he would definitely come and see whether he would be patient to such an insult, if it was.
It is not an insult, it's that device.
No, what I mean, the insult of dating, of proposing to his wife, and then he succumbs to the pressure and
says, I will deal with it next year. He will have two twin daughters if he does that. Yes, by then. Not his own.
Yes, we are moving on, and we have just a few minutes left with us. But I wanted to ask Professor to also comment. You know, before we came onto our show, you were talking about the corruption that for you, it's like every day it breeds more children and babies.
Absolutely.
And in particular, you mentioned the police and the land ministry.
Yes.
What did you mean? Do you have now fresh?
Yes, I have fresh evidence.
Fresh evidence.
And if you want, you are patient, I will give you the evidence. More than 20 years ago, I bought a land from Mr. Mpima. Mr. Mpima was the brother-in-law of the late Cardinal Nsubuga. And the forces heard that I wanted to buy land. So the late Cardinal introduced me to his brother-in-law, Mpima. I bought, listen to it, 47 hectares from Rutembe Beach, a land full of forest, sand, clay, and stones. I have a title, you can show it to the whole world. It says, from Mpima to Kanyeihamba, new owner of this land, which is my land. In between, a Mr. Sasu, TSU, one word, TSA, one word, TSU, Sasu. From Algeria is an alien, he's a foreigner. Rented from me my rock in that land, which is on the hill, for 5 years. It is that rock which made Kampala and Entebbe highway. He refused to tell me how much the Chinese paid him. But for me, I exchanged that land with a block of flats and a mansion house. The story is told in my story. Then, recently, when Bazira, the former mayor of Entebbe municipality, heard that I was dangerously sick, I would not recover. He came and captured part of the same lease land and started building a structure looking like a dog's kennel. I don't know what it is. Certainly not a house. And I tell everybody that he was the owner. I went there with the journalists and some doctors who were curious to know how lawyers do things. I called the whole country to come and I demonstrate the powers of the LC1 chairman and committees. They came, one came from Ginger when they had the appeal on the radio. Another one came all the way from Kabade to witness the experiment. I called the Minister of State for Land, Dr. Mayanja. He came here in this house with his what do you call him? Personal assistant, to organize the meeting in a day where we would demonstrate and they would show the powers of the Ministry of Lands. There were about 20 or 24 people involved. Others waited at Dewi. I was to go with him with his escort. You can ask them. He's the one who made the date. He's the one who made the appointment. He said, I will come tomorrow. And we go together in a convoy. They questioned me in Uganda by the BBS. He's the one who gave me this story and repeated it. That if your wife is sleeping in your bed and you suddenly discover a man on top of her, do you call the police or the law, or do you do the work yourself with the neighbors? And he said, I'm going to help Kanyeihamba. That is the minister responsible for land. I am going tomorrow to go with the Kanyeihamba to the land where they have grabbed it, and they will remove that imposter immediately. I am going to give you the cutting from the newspaper, him making that promise. It is here. So that you let people know that we are governed by corrupt and mafia people, including that minister. I went to his office later, and he said he's in a meeting, a close meeting, with the senior presidential advisor on veteran affairs, Joanna Kategaya, and the chairman of the presidential corruption unit. He's a general from the army. We waited from midday until 4 o'clock. Everybody got agitated. 1 or 2 people drove away who had come to witness, including lawyers and the journalists. We called him, he wouldn't answer. His own personal assistant, who was here all day, called him. Dr. Mayanja never answered. He has never called me again. The reporters and the journalists and the lawyers who came here, between them they are demanding him to pay them 6,030,000 shillings. I am going to write the letter to him. Now, when I called Joanna Kategaya, who previously had removed Dr. Sasu from my land for the same reason that I was grabbing it illegally, she said she was in Bunyoro, burying a dead relative. When I called the secretary to Mayanja. He said, no, she's with him in the parliament building. And he and the general and the minister are considering what to do with your complaint that somebody has taken your land. I called the minister. Up to now, he has never answered me. The general has never answered me. I had appeared before him with a committee of 2 lawyers. It was the third. I addressed them on my land for over 2 hours. They called Mayanja. He said, I'm with you. He's the one who introduced me to them. And then I said, when shall I get to this? They said, tomorrow or day after. I said, why? What is stopping you going there now and evicting this man, Basila? He said, oh, there are certain facilities we need. Later I gathered that I should give them money.
That's the facilitation.
Although they are doing the work for nothing. Then let me tell you, when I called Kategaya's assistant, senior, who are in the enforcement committee, he said, we need facilitation. I said, how much? He said, 500,000, rather 1 million shillings. I said, my goodness, I thought you are doing this as part of your duty. He said, no, we need to be facilitated. Fortunately, I was going to Kabale. I had drawn a bit of money. So I handed him cash in front of my driver because I couldn't get out of the car. I am in a wheelchair. He looked at it, he said, then he called another person from there, Katega's office. The person said, it's not enough.
That 1 million.
So yes, so I said, what is enough? Bribery to wake you up. Then he came, brought the money back in front of my witness, David. He was there. We were both in the car. Then the secretary of the meeting insisted that Tegaya was in that meeting. She came here angrily. She said, I'm going to remove those people. They are corrupt, as I did last time. I don't need anything, but to give us some petrol. So I gave her 100,000. I gave the other 2 lawyers 100. Altogether, 300,000. They said it will be off today. The structure is still there. So I call her. Then eventually for her, she's different from that. She answered me. So she said, we have a problem. I said, what is the problem apart from facilitation? She didn't say.
The problem.
The building is still there. But being there, she called when I went to see her today. She's graceful, she sees me. She said, you go and ask Wakana Rugunda. Wakana Rugunda and Joanna Kategaya are my attorneys protecting my protection, not my life, but my property. Both of them. So she said, you go and ask my co-attorney, Wakana Rugunda. I went there this morning on her invitation. When I reached there, Wakana told me, I'm sure he doesn't mind me reducing because he's an honest man. He said, she said you have accused her of receiving a bribe. I didn't choose Kategaya. I chose her assistant and in the land protection unit.
And the police.
Yes. So, that being so, when I thought I was not getting any help from Kategaya
and the police and the
minister, I went to the deputy police, rather DPC Kavaragara, rather Kajansi, and told him what was happening. I said, whether they come or not, I'm going there on a self-help right to restore my land. Please send me police to guard me. You know, when I went there, I find there police guarding the structure, armed to the teeth with machine guns, 2 of them. When one of my people approached them and said the word, who is David, my driver, they said, make another step, and you are a dead man. The LC were frightened, but they gave an interview to BBS saying that land is Kanyehamba's land. And he has never leased or given to anybody. That, against that evidence, the police were corrupted to guard the illegal grabbed land and threatened my driver with extinction with his machine gun. Tell me, brother, in this country, where many peasants own land, customary day or mile, or they are tenants, how many of these tenants can afford to hire police with machine guns when they want to go and do business in their land? How many? We would need 4 billion
Definitely.
machine guns and recruit an extra 4 million police to fulfill what the DPC of Kajansi allegedly on the orders of the Deputy Inspector General of Police, Kasigazi. I think you have met him before. I recommended you that he should release you because you had not committed any criminal offense. That is Uganda today. That is the corruption. And the Museveni's words are really biting hard to people who are honest and hard-working like me by saying to the IGG, please, you are forbidden to name any land grabbers or any criminals in case they take their ill-gotten profit abroad and spend it there instead of spending it in Uganda. That's the corruption I was talking about.
I have these 2 comments for you, and
yes.
Then I will ask the last question because we have literally between 6 and 7 minutes to close. Again, this gentleman, I think, he has piqued interest in your conversations with us and the rest of the viewers. Again, Namuguzi comes back and says, Norman kindly inform the Prof.
Why doesn't he inform me himself?
No, because now through me, because it's me who is reading it.
Okay.
Kindly inform Prof.
This is
that the leader of opposition has written to the Chief Justice and Principal Judge 2 times, but up to now, no response about the unfair imprisonment of the 2 MPs that Justice talks about.
I agree with that comment entirely. Even I myself have written to them, including sending my report on corruption in the judiciary. I have never had the response. That's number 1. Number 2, I have written a letter, and this gentleman, I like you because you are brave to raise issues like that.
Yes.
I thank you. I have raised that. I have written, and I send him a copy through you, saying people are saying the complaint of Justice Chisache, doctor, has raised against the Chief Justice should be swept under the carpet and we forget about it. I said those are corrupt lawyers and advisors. No, for me, what they have done can never be washed. I have other evidence against the 2. And I am saying, younger man, join me, the one who's explained what your party is doing. Join me in saying, Justice Chisache and the Chief Justice Doro Owinye should be retired in the public interest. Their staying there is continue, and they will continue forever being an embarrassment to the Uganda judiciary. So they should be retired, and I recommend with their full retirement benefit from the judiciary of Uganda. Not later, not after they have knocked each other to death in the ring of judiciary in the court, not being forgiven to participate this kind of thing, but to remove from Uganda. And my view is, having looked at the qualities and the qualifications of judges both in the Court of Appeal and the Constitutional Court, including people like Ngonda Ntende, people like Kakuru, we have sufficiently well qualified people to be appointed justices of the Supreme Court and the Chief Justice of Uganda. That is what I am saying. I stick my statement as far as possible. Let us all agree on one thing. I have sent this message, a copy of the letter, to the President of the Uganda Law Society. And I am recommending very strongly to the Judicial Service Commission, to the President, to the Law Society, that my learned friend, Doro Owinye, the Chief Justice of Uganda today, and the Justice Chisake, Doctor, should be both
resign,
forced to retire
in
the public interest.
I have this last comment and then one last question. Paul Cheyune says Uganda is bleeding. Museveni, Mohozi, stop killing Ugandans and stop kidnapping Ugandans. That is his comment. Now the last question is, because you have elucidated to the viewers on how you have been frustrated by writing some letters and all such complaints. So in the event that everything that is civil, that is deemed civil, fails, in situations where a former justice of Supreme Court is played the way you have been played by both police and the Minister for Lands, what is left for an ordinary citizen?
There is every hope. I am ever optimistic, critic. You have seen on that wall, the entrance to my residence, with the hope and aspirations of 40 million or more who inhabit this country. I am very sure that this is a temporary phase of disappointment. But sooner or later, God Almighty will assist us to get rid of the biting insects and the vicious snakes that have cut part of our country. Let me tell you, as I speak now, a number of Ugandan serious people, including General Kanyeihamba, the president, the brother of President Museveni, General Kayindo Tafire, my cousin, the late Governor Ntebide, Jim Muhwezi, we got together and decided to form a company for processing meat in the country. We bought a land piece near Masaka town. For me personally, I invested 10 million. People like Akandondaho put there more. And also the governor put there something like 30 million. And we hired an expert to build our factory. At my age, I had hoped I was investing for my grandchild. But it was not to be. A few Chinese nationals who are loved by the president came and offered an alternative that they can make us meat products cheaper
than the indigenous Ugandans.
than the indigenous Ugandans. And the Museveni agreed with them. They are the ones who have replaced our company. They haven't even compensated us to establish a meat company. President Museveni is charmed by foreigners, if not bewitched, because some years ago he got an investor from UK of Indian origin, and he entertained him at State House. Some of us were waiting to see him, but he gave priority to this foreigner. And later it was discovered that foreigner who was received normally in the State House was a criminal wanted by British justice as a fraudulent man. But he was preferred to me by the president. So I'm not surprised when one of our colleagues told me the president has transferred our rights to make meat products to his friends, the Chinese. Okay. This is what I'm talking about. SASU, by using my land zoned as agricultural to build residential flats, is breaking the law. Mayanja doctor knows that. And instead of helping me to demolish the building that was putting up against land regulations and the zoning of the land board, I challenged the manager because he said, I have cancelled 1,000 titles. I have cancelled titles of land grabbers over 1 million. Tell me, he never mentions who were the names of those land grabbers.
So the public can know.
So he's telling a lie. He said, oh, he has removed 1,000 land grabbers. But he doesn't say, is Kanyeihamba one of them?
Because that helps the public to know who such fraudsters are. The names are mentioned, so we know, the public knows. It should be done in public interest.
Yes.
So we know who are the Ugandans,
yes,
land grabbers. And
ask Kamya, the IGG. She was told not to release the names of the corrupt in the case they bank that money abroad by the president. Oh God. Save Uganda, the part of Africa.
Okay, those are your closing remarks for now. Tomorrow
and
Christmas.
Finally,
final message.
I wish everybody happy Christmas, and I want them to be encouraged, not depressed, that one day the sun will shine on Uganda, and we shall resume our rightful place in developing and well-governed countries. It may be not now, but it will soon come later. I want all Ugandans to say that President Museveni, in the front of Honorable Norbert Mao, and in the front of his own son, General now, Muhoozi, he said, when his people ask him, he will retire from public office. Those CD discuss the succession to him when he retires. Don't look backwards, don't apologize, don't fear. Now join my chorus and we ask our president, love the some people, to retire now.
Okay.
Not in 2026.
I am giving you 40 seconds to do these two things. One, a message, a Christmas message in Uganda, and a Christmas message in Runyakitara.
In Uganda, nyeyanziza nnyo Katonda tukuumye, ate musabe mwena abakuume ate abaye emikisa mu kirono kino ekikulu kituyita Noiri. Kandi mu Kitara nimbalamusa muna, kandi nibendeza emisha ya Ruhanga omu kiriro kikulu ekikwiye kya Krismasi, abahe emigisha, abahe n'obushobozi bw'okureba ngu abakutegeka nitwe turi kwataho tubikiririzemu batatubera abategeki babi. Ruhanga balindemu n'abakrisimasi abaryana batuhulire, kandi Ruhanga akindekireho emba ndini emirimo kugukwija kyonka beyingi nibashaba ntarigaruka Ruhanga mpumuziye aza Ruhanga takwikiriza ebintu by'ekyo ebyo kwendeza omuntu emica mibi.
Mwahurira bantu mwe. I will also go native because people nanyi nwe rumi rwanje. Profesa yabagira unabendeza Christmas nungi kandi nashaba ngo mwena muhangari nayongera kushaba ngo mwena abaho bwenge bwo kutunga abebembezi abimwetoranire banange tabi mwana wa mama amazali ba malungi.
Wewe